It's 7:03, so I think we can get going. I had a couple people text me, his traffic's horrible, I know that. I had a coach call me, football coach, he goes, "Hey, Mr. Clyde, might be a little bit late." I'm like, "Dude, it's okay. Don't speak, do the wrong thing, and go to a meeting where we're doing the right thing." So it's okay. It's okay. But thank you for being here on time. I want to respect your time. 8:15, we're out of here unless it's your fault. Okay, if we're not out of here by 8:15, that's your fault. Because we got a good agenda ahead of us. We're going to talk about, last year we talked about intentional. It's kind of where we're focusing getting there as well. We're going to talk about handbook highlights probably at the end. Nicole's going to speak. Welcome her. That's great. Glad to have her. Andrew Kell's going to speak. Aaron Parker back cover. Any questions? Then we're going to close with prayer. So we got an agenda. We're going to keep it as tight as we can. So before we begin, let's pray. And I'll tell you what, we've had some great things. I thought about your wife this morning, Thomas, because she's ready. And I'm sure you are too, but it's like, now's a busy time. So I know he's expecting one right now. Like, you might get the call.
That'd be great.
There you go. Did you tell her just to call you at 7:30? All right, let's keep him in prayer with his wife. But, man, it's been a great summer. Brandy lost her father a couple weeks ago. Just a terrible, quick thing, but, man, just a lot of lessons from her story. Really good story there. So, you know, I don't know, there's a lot of people I've heard from over the summer, a lot of things going on with Brett's mom, and, you know, it's just a lot of stuff happening, but, you know, when we look at the big perspective, we're like, man, we're so blessed. So we're going to pray, and we'll get going. Let's pray. Father God, you are good, and Lord, I don't want to be in too much of a hurry to just run through stuff. God, we're here together as the fall coaches. Lord, I pray my words would be precise and concise. I pray that they would speak to our hearts and minds, God. I pray that your word would change us. I pray that as we look at your word, God, that we take it to heart of how significant of a role we play in the lives of our students and in the life of this community right here at First Baptist Church of Metro Christian Academy. God, you have anointed this place, I have no doubt. I've seen your movement. God, you've used these people to do such a thing. So, Father, I pray when we leave this place, God, that our hearts will be stirred to be the best coaches we can be, to be the best husbands and wives, daughters and sons that we can be. Father God, it's a shame that we would even sit here for an hour and think we've got to go through some troublesome stuff, but not gain our strength and our spirit, who you are in us. So, Father God, again, I pray that your word would speak to us. First, in your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen. Hey, that came up early. Is that the next thing? Yeah. Tell you what happened this summer. You guys know I have a son named Brett. And Brett wasn't home this summer. He's working with camp. I grew up at a house at Weston Chapel. If you're looking at McDonald's, it's the one house to the left. So if you're Weston Chapel, there's a house right there. It's still there. My dad still lived there. It has it's a brick home. And as a young kid, I would get a baseball. And I would throw it up against the brick home, and it'd bounce back. And they'd say, "Hey, Ronnie, why don't you use a tennis ball?" And I'd get a tennis ball until they told me to get a baseball. I just throw it, just for fun, because I wanted to make my arms strong. We had a little thing in the middle that was brick, so I would try to hit that brick. When I missed, I'd go in the garage. I mean, I park in the garage, because you don't waste the garage with a car. You store wood in it. You store tools in it. So that's what we used it for. Well, I'm 47, and early June, I'm having to drive it because I live in a subdivision with brick fronts and siding sides. So I'm in the front of the house, and the same thing, we have a garage. So I got a tennis ball, and I'm standing at the end of the driveway. I'm just throwing a tennis ball up against it. You're probably like, "You do that?" Well, yeah. I mean, I like to do things. I don't like to jog. I got a bad left knee. I wish I could, but I can't. So I just throw a tennis ball, and all of a sudden, this little kid comes up. And he goes, "Hey, you want to throw?" I said, I'm like, "Oh God, okay, Brett's gone." Sure. So we start throwing. He's 8. His name's Richie. He's going to the 3rd grade. And we continue to talk. And Richie's throwing, and we threw a tennis ball because he didn't have a glove. I know he's got a baseball there, but he didn't have a glove. And I could tell, check this out, that when he was throwing, the ball was coming off the side of his hand because I could see the Wilson kind of doing this rather than this. Now that's the problem. If you throw a ball, that's a problem. If you're not directing So I said, hey, Richie, show me how you drink with waffles. So he pulled it out and he showed me, and I said, hey, do this. Take your thumb and move it here, and this top finger's move here, just throw it a couple times. So he did. And I could see that Wilson turn. I said, hey, I don't know if you saw that, but the ball's spinning better out of your hands because you got a bigger grip. He goes, oh yeah, he goes, thanks. So we continued talking. We threw a long time. He finally got on the spot and got ready to leave. So what time is this? It's about 8:15. Richie says, oh, I got to go. I got to be home at 8. He just lives like that. True story. He gets on his bike. He takes, he gets on. He said, I'll see you later, Coach. I'm not his coach. But because I spent that time with him, I showed him and demonstrated. He called me coach. What's the big deal? Dude, that's you. You are coach. And since then, yeah, I've had my picture made with Thanks Richie. He's told me about, here's the cool thing, he's told me about his team winning the championship in baseball, how they went to a nice game, he ran on the bases. I've ridden bikes with him. He has 2 bikes, one is front wheel broke. We fixed it. He's been my buddy. Coach. And I want you to take that in because that's who you are. And now, you're not coaching 8-year-olds. But I'm going to tell you something. These teenagers that we coach, you hold a lot of weight. What you says goes. What you says is somewhat the gospel. So be mindful of that. It's such an important part of who we are. Last year, we focused on this verse where Jesus told Thomas, because there was only one not there, all the other disciples, he'd shown himself. All the other disciples had seen that. Jesus said, hey Thomas, you came to the right road. Put your finger here to see my hand. Put out your hand and place it at my side. Do not be unbelieving, but believing. We talked about how Christ was intentional. We talked about how Christ provided an example. Therefore, we as coaches must provide those examples. We talked about being real and being a blessing. Because we want to be intentional. It's one thing, I think we as men, if you're married and you have a family, we as men can be some of the most passive people on the planet. Because we just go, well, it is what it is. It is. And I know as a guy, sometimes we check out because maybe we know we're not the spiritual leaders we need to be. So I haven't been that good that I'm not going to be able to speak to my wife and my kids in a certain way, or I can't lead because I wasn't the leader, so I better just step back. And so you find yourself taking a step forward as a man, and then 2 steps back, like what just happened? I don't know what it's like to be a lady, but I can imagine too that you want your man to lead, but at the same time you want him to be humble. So I know there's a great problem there. But I tell you what, if we don't be intentional in living out our lives as good husbands, as good dads, as good moms, as good wives, it doesn't just come natural. The natural man, I want to fish all the time. The natural man, I want to do things Ronnie Plowder wants to do. The natural man is of the flesh. I have to be intentional to do spiritual things. Good to see you, Coach. I think about even right now, my wife and I read this book. She's got one that says, 8 ways to honor your husband. I'm reading one, I started today, my jury duty. 8 ways to honor your wife. You think, why are you doing that? Because we got to be intentional that we'll be as one. Because it doesn't make sense, Pauline said it's a strange thing. How can 2 become 1? Well, that's what we're supposed to do, become 1. I can't do it if we just think it's going to be physically. That ain't going to happen. We've got to become 1 emotionally and spiritually. We've got to. So I want to encourage you. Great that you're coaches. But if you're not a good husband, a good wife, if you're not being intentional to be those, to be godly examples, and my role as I'm the provider, I'm the husband, if I'm not trying to be intentionally a better husband for her, I fail as an AD. Dude, I stink. I'm awful. You as a coach, see, sometimes we kind of check out because we know we feel like we're somebody as coaches. We're coach. I coach, so I come to my place, it's like, oh man, you're this. And then you go home and you're not really what you want to be, and you just don't do anything. I'm telling you, I encourage you, be intentional. And one of the things we're going to do on the coaches end, one of the things we're going to do with coaches end is one I'm going to tell you in a second. 3 years ago in June, this picture was taken. This is my Aunt Sarah Kressler. This was at the funeral of her husband. They were married for 70 years. So that was there at the funeral. Her husband was 95. She was 92. She's 95. I took this in June all the way to CTO. Coach's timeout, those of you who went, I stopped by to see her. And I said, because she's an assisted living, she still gets dressed, still got all her faculties, about 95 years old. I said, hey, sis, can I get a picture with you? Yeah. Why do I love to see her. Here's why. She's 95. How many people do you know are 95, number one? And then how many people do you know that you can go and talk to that are 95 and really talk to? I love to sit with her because I say, hey, sis, tell me a story about you as a little girl. I'll just ask questions. I try not to talk with them with older people because I really like to hear what they have to say. I want to glean something from them. And she'll tell me stories of when she was a little girl and she was so excited when the new feed came in for the chickens because in the feed sack or the flour sack, the corn or the flour, they would come in patterns. Now, I'm not old enough to know what that's like, okay? But, well, they would come in these patterned big sacks. And so what her mama would do then, you fed the chickens, is her mama and she would cut, they'd do the feed out and they would cut those sacks and make her new dress. And she would talk to me about that. She told me about how the road, Highway 84 is a dirt road, and how they would sometimes get in the carriage and they would ride, and they didn't have a car. They were one of the first to have a car there, but it was a long ride. You went so slow, it was a dirt road, and you were already in dust. She tells me about when her and Uncle Chris got married, how she met him, and he was very non-personal. He wasn't really a warm, smooth guy. He's like, hey, you want to get married? She goes, yeah, sounds good. But I love to talk to her because she encourages me, one, but she also tells me these stories about hard times. And she looks at them as good old days, and I'm sure at some point in our life we've said good old days. You're probably not, neither one of you probably know what good old days are. But I use that example because this is us this year. When I was reading in Romans chapter 5, I want to read the whole thing to you. And I want you to listen to this. Romans chapter 15, verses 1 through 7. So if you don't know what to read tonight, you ever want to read something, Romans chapter 15, 1 through 7. Listen to this. And his words are a lot more important than anything I'll say or anything anybody else will say. So I pray that it will soak in your heart and your mind. The judge was up here today reading stuff. I'm in Jerusalem, and he's reading. It's blah, blah, blah. It's Charlie Brown. Womp, 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 womp. Don't let that become this. Check in right here. Here we go. Paul writes this in chapter 15 of Romans. We who are strong. Would you consider yourself strong? You don't have to shake your head or raise your hand. But I would think this. If you're coaching in Petrolina, you need to be strong. And if you ain't strong, you better check yourself in quickly and start getting strong. We who are strong, he's talking about us Christians. If you're solid in your faith, we who are strong, listen, we who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak. I look at some of our athletes, and man, some of them are strong, aren't they? Gosh, the faith of some of our kids, sometimes it amazes me how they come out and talk openly about their faith. But we have some that are weak. We have parents that we know who we can count on because they're strong in their faith, aren't we? And we got some parents that we know are weak. We go back. We who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. Let each of us please his neighbor for his good, to build him up. Paul says right there, hey, listen, if you're going to do something, if you're going to spend your life doing something, you ought to be spending it building up people. I ask myself that question. It's so easy for me sometimes to say something mean, and it's not really from my heart mean. I can say something just cut you, and that's not my heart. It's probably happened to you. If you're married, that has happened. Because your wife or you have said something that's like, well, how do you hurt my feelings? I don't say that. I usually just kind of walk away. And she goes, what's wrong? Nothing. Yeah. That's what I do sometimes. But we should spend our lives building up. Again, thinking about it as a coach. Verse 3, for Christ did not please himself, but as it is written, he took this from the Old Testament, the reproaches of those who reproached you fell on me. That's what Christ said. This is the verse of focus. For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement, through endurance and through the encouragement of the Scriptures, we might have hope. So when I think about that, there's two things I think about right there. Whatever was written in the former days, Paul was writing about. He didn't read the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What was he talking about? Everything Old Testament. That was written in the Scriptures. He wasn't talking about Aristotle. He wasn't talking about Euripides. He wasn't talking about anybody. He was talking about Scripture because he just quoted Scripture right before them. Whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through two things that Aunt Sis gave me, and two things I found in my life the Scriptures give me. Through endurance and the encouragement of the Scriptures, we might have hope. You know, I think about, there's a lot of cool things we say as coaches. Go get him, Tiger. Go get him, boy. We've got stories. We tell quotes. Vince Lombardi said this, or this person said this, and that's all great. There's room for that. But I tell you what, if we don't bring this, we fail. We're no different than any other league that's out there. What makes us different is that we bring this. Scripture promotes endurance. Scripture provides encouragement. God left us history. I think about all the people in the Bible. I think about when Moses, with Aaron and Hur standing right there, because they were winning the battle when Moses had his hands up, and he got tired, and Israel started losing ground. They started losing the battle. But then Aaron and Hur come along and prop his hands up, and then what happens? Israel wins. I think about how Moses was called the most humble man on earth. When you think about the best leader in the Bible, the Old Testament, he's one of the top, most humble man on earth. Who got persecuted the most during his time? Him! Why? Because he stood for something. I got a call today from the Alliance Defense Fund. Hey, I don't know if y'all have heard of them. They've heard about something I've written about House Bill 2. I'm so mad at Mike Krzyzewski. I'm not going to get into details there. I'm a big Duke fan. I'm upset with Mike Krzyzewski the way he stands on House Bill 2. I'm upset with the NBA because they're like, hey, we're pulling All-Star games, House Bill 2. I've already emailed them. But the last defense fund called me today and said, hey, we want to talk to you about, what's your role as an athletic director and how House Bill 2 might impact you. And we read this and that. So I talked to him today. I think, if we don't stand up, and I know we put our names out there, or we stand for something, you stand for something on your Facebook that's not politically correct or something like that, you're going to get ridiculed. That's okay. If I want to stand for something that's godly, now I'm not talking about all these other things we deal with, but we're talking about morality, talking about things of God. Stand for something. You're going to, it's going to make you, it's going to test you. But I think about all these folks that stood for that which was right. Strengthening others is the Christian life. I don't know if you've heard the guy William Booth, but in the mid-1800s he started the Salvation Army. Kind of cool. His 81st birthday, he's asked to come speak, but he couldn't. He was just disease-ridden, and he was soon to die. And he said, well, tell us, Mr. Booth, we'll speak to the Salvation Army for you. This is the early 1900s. He goes, we'll speak to it for you. Write down what you want me to say, and I'll read it. And he took a pen and he wrote one word, others. That's it, others. Because the Salvation Army, how you look at the history of it, was built to really, it was the army of the Lord to go out and bring salvation to the masses. I think about as coaches, we go out there for others. Man, sometimes it's about pleasing myself. I know I coach Thomas, and somebody's like, man, I want this done, and I should hold that standard. Okay, I should. But at the same time, it's about others. And in our climate today, we don't just reach those kids. Man, there's an others called parents that we've got to reach. You can't ignore them because they stay with us for a couple hours. They go home with their parents for eons of hours. We've got to do our best to reach them. That's why I talk about, hey, email parents. Don't just send them a schedule. Send them something of substance. If you send them something of substance, they'll have to read and get down to the schedule. And it's amazing what some of our parents can just catch just from a nugget. Just from a nugget. We got to be intentional. So one of the things this year we're doing, I think they're in your packet. It's kind of funny. Can I borrow yours, Coach? It says intentional 5. And I did this because, and I struggled a little bit. Because last year we had 10 verses. All of you remember we signed off, we kind of initialed that our head coach did or what have you. Well, these are 5. Wait a minute. If it's intentional, why is there only 5? Well, because you as a head coach are going to help us out. And an assistant coach are going to help us out. I'm going to read that to make sure we're clear. These 5 reflections on separate verses, there's things that I wrote on 5 verses, are designed for you as a coach to share with your athletes within your season. As a head coach, we want you to plan to select and write 5 more verses and reflections you will share within your season. When you complete all, simply write a date for the 5 devotions below, and the date you delivered your 5. By the end of the season, we'll have an abundance of resources all of us take part in. And we'll know that no matter what sport they participated in, they receive these truths from God's Word. Assistant coaches, you're not out of the loop. You get the opportunity to provide 2 verses and reflections to share with your small group or the entire team. Plan a date and document as well. So here's the deal. There's 5 reflections here. So I'm just going to take Coach Honeycutt real quick. So at the end of the season, Coach Honeycutt is going to write 5. And he's a killer writer. Y'all know. He's like the most famous person y'all know. He'll write 5 that he's going to share with his kids. Well, also, Miss Doolin assist. So Miss Doolin's going to write 2. So every cross-country assistant is going to write 2. Every head coach is going to write 5. Every assistant is going to write 2. Now, I took a little time, and I'm going to read through this and tell you how this works. Because there's a way you can make this dry. Be like the judge today. Just read it. And then there's a way you can make it on point. So let's take a look at this. I guess I want to show you an example of what I would think this would look like at your practice or before your game or at the end of your game or at the end of your practice. Verse number 1. Hey, and here's how I do it. I say, hey guys, I've got these 5 verses every season, every athlete's going to go through. So here's one of them, and we're going to do this today. So I'm going to play like you're my team. So we're going to do this today. First verse is Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. God created man in His own image. That's cool. In the image of God, He created him, male and female. 2 different types, He created them. First question, have you ever improvised as an athlete? Man, I know you have, because I coach John Wilson. And I know, John, I've seen you when I said, hey man, when the guy gets to the half-court line, John, I want you to stick him like glue. Don't let him pass the half-court. And John was so quick, he could do that. He stopped people. And then I say, hey John, force this guy to the left. Well, that's what he was taught. But if the guy was a lefty, where should he force him? To his right. So he improvised. So you could use the example right there. I know as a player, I improvised. One day, I was running the third base. It's an old man softball game. I was running third. The throw came. The guy was on the ground holding the tag. I jumped over, jumped around, and grabbed the bag like on the backside. I wish it had probably been an ESPN highlight. Nobody cares. Y'all don't care. I'm telling you, I improvised. Why? Because did I practice that? No. You just improvise. You just do those things because you're an athlete. You just improvise. So we've all improvised. I know as coaches we've improvised. You should. Coaches put athletes in game situations typically should have to be prepared. However, coaches cannot mimic everything that will happen. You guys know I can't do that. That's where you as an athlete can create. You make the pass that wasn't practiced. You adjust the swing on the pitch or even change your direction due to the defense you create. Guys, isn't that cool that you can create? I mean, you as coaches, sidebar, you as coaches create your own practice schedules. You as coaches think, man, how can I create a different drill? Isn't that cool that God gives you that ability to be creative? I think that's cool. No wonder we continue to see new advancements in medicine, technology, and communication. We were created in God's image, therefore we create. In regards to the fields of athletics, we see new techniques of cross-training, new sources in nutrition, and cutting-edge methods on injury recovery. For example, I think it's called cryogenics. I may have the wrong word. But isn't that something where you just like put your body in total ice after you do? That was stupid back when I played. Why would anybody do that? You had to be a freak. But now, athletes jump in these tubs of nitrogen sprays that just to cool their bodies off afterwards to reduce the swelling. I don't know the scientific behind it, but I know that new methods are coming out. I think that's cool. Why? Because God created us for such things. Third paragraph. As human beings, we must never forget that we have the attributes of God, which in turn allow us to create. The source of all that is created is from the imagination of God. Sadly, we sometimes interpret wrong. Will you go on a tangent there? Every species known to man builds, but humans create. Beavers build dams, birds build nests, but man can create and build a modern skyscraper, a suspension bridge, or a way-cool tree house. The possibilities are endless. As we create for the glory of God, remember that the details matter. Guys, hey, we're gonna practice. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say jump up to the line. And I expect your knuckles to be right here. I expect your stance to be perfect. Because there's no way, if we're not perfect, if we line up with a guy who's better than us, bigger than us, we'll never win. We'll never win. If we don't run our race, we'll never win. You've got to do what you're supposed to do. The details matter. The details matter in our practices too. Details matter in the lives of our kids. We've got to give them the details matter. We live in a world now that's so relative. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Man, kick that into Franny, it does matter. Things matter. And unfortunately, the details don't matter. They do. I picked, Michelle and I on Sunday went to my brother's house. He's got a 2-acre field of sunflowers, and we cut a bunch. And Michelle and I were eating breakfast there what's today? Is today Monday? Must have been Sunday night we were eating supper there. That's what it was. We cut them on Saturday, ate supper on Sunday. Michelle's like, look at those sunflowers. Look at how they're so symmetrical and detailed. I'm like, that's God. He cares about the details. He cares about our details. Don't push them to the side. And don't let your athletes. I know a lot of you don't. I've been to your practices. But I want to pat you on the back and say, keep it up. Practice the details. The artist and soul by Arnold Magnus, he reminds us that the more someone or something matters to us, the more the details relating to them matter. For example, God gave Noah details on the ark, extreme details. Solomon details on the temple. Oh my word, have you read that? Moses details on the Ark of the Covenant. What was to beware of the cherubim. Now, not only were the jobs of these men important, but the details on how they completed the task also mattered. God made each of us with precise detail, therefore demonstrating in His love for us. So, guys, this week in practice, we're going to be intentional to create something today. Hey, when you go home today, if I'm talking about athletes, why don't you be creative? How many of y'all told your parents that you love them today? No, that's not cool. I tell you what, be creative. When you go home, maybe just do something extra. Be creative. Look around and say, what needs to be done at the house? Hey, maybe you need to paint the baseboards. Be creative. Do something in your house. Maybe you can find some way to be intentional about creating something to make life better. So, back to who I am. So that's how I see that looking in your devotion, in your time. And then I would date it, which is today's date, August 1st, and I'd have it there. Now, if you got your packet, you can turn. I tried to do about one per page. The second was a little shorter. I got 3, 4. How many do I have? I got 5. And then I got room for you to write 5. If you want to write on a separate sheet of paper, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But do you see what I see? Come on, think about this. Here's what I see. I see Peyton Summey writing 5, and Brandon writing 2, and Trevor writing 2, and now I've got 9. Now, who am I going to share that with? Oh, no. How cool is that? Now, you might not like these 5, but you're going to have to read them. Well, the cool thing is you'll have 9. You'll have 9 from Miss Summey tennis team that next year you'll be able to use. I think that's cool. You guys have some great things. I've heard some of your devotions. I remember we did your JV game last year. You just give it, bring it, and love. I was like, man, that was good, man. I don't know, did I tell you? I'd like to have it recorded. Man, that was good. I don't remember what you said, but it was good. And I think those things are important. We got to be intentional to bring God's Word. So that's what's up this year. Keep this. Assistant coaches, make sure that your head coach allows you to speak to them 2 times. Here's what's cool too. You know what this? Hey, God had a way in this because on a Sunday night before cheer camp, I knew Brady was not going to be there on Thursday. Andrea had gone to Alaska because she vacations all summer. And I know, I love you. So Michelle, my wonderful wife, I said, hey Michelle, can you go help out at cheer camp on Monday?
She was a blessing. I'm so thankful for her.
I'll tell her you said that. So she goes out there Monday. She helps out. She shares with me. Brandon has cheer practice afterwards. They're finished at 4. She gets a phone call. Her dad's not doing well. So she takes off. So Tuesday morning, Michelle, I'm at the fields working. Michelle came to cheer camp. And that night before Tuesday, I said, hey Michelle, bring Brandy's dad's kind of sick, so why don't you make sure you kind of look ahead and plan if you were doing camp, if you had to do something early on. Just kind of make a plan. Share something of your heart, share a word devotion, and also maybe do some type of drill or something. Well, at 9:15, Brandy's not there. What time's camp start? 9. 9:15, 9:30, her husband runs in and says, hey, Brandy's dad's in the hospital. I don't know how many more days he's got to make. So Michelle and Hillary Turner, soon to be Hillary McWhorter, Hillary Turner McWhorter, took over that camp. Here's what was cool. Michelle came back and said, hey, here's what we're going to do. The first day, Brandy spoke about how we should sparkle like wisdom. It should be something attractive as young ladies. And then we talked about how we should shine, and then how we should show spirit. And there were the verses. I think that's cool. Those girls left camp with that. Here's what I think is cool. I walked into the gym this year, into the FLC storage room, and I opened the door, and it didn't look as bad as it has looked, but it was still a little messy. And I noticed a whiteboard marker, and that was one there. That's from our new volleyball coach, Haley Jameson. And I thought, that's what it's about. She's got her verse there. She got I don't know what y'all talked about. You don't have to tell me, but they talk about personal skill goal, team goal, spiritual goal. And from my understanding, did you have a new one every week or every day? How did you do that?
Every week.
Okay, because I walked in a couple times and they were different verses.
Some weeks.
But that's what it's about. Guys, we can share a lot of things. And some people say, hey, be careful. You really want to get to know somebody before you start sharing Scripture. You got to be careful. I'm not sure where that, I mean, you can say that's what 21st century evangelism is and all, but I'm not really sure that's the most effective way, because as soon as I get to know you and I die or you die and I never share the gospel or never share the good news or share what Christ done in my life or share the glory of the Scriptures, if I've never done that, I failed. If that hurts your feelings, you're probably a relativist. But I failed. And we don't want to do that. So, this year, a couple of cool things I'm going to provide for you August 18th. One of them is this shirt. It's a new design on the front. Hope you like it. I like it. And then on the back, it's whatever was written in the former days was written for our instruction. Through endurance and the encouragement of the Scripture, we might have hope. We live in a world that doesn't have a lot of hope. What gives us hope? And when I read about those guys of old, those ladies of old, that gives me hope. So that's one. And then the second one's going to be our school verse. I wanted to make sure I was a team player this year. And last year we got a white one. This year we're going gray on this. On the back, it's Hosea 10:12. Seek the Lord, seek righteousness. Sow righteousness, break ground, and seek the Lord. So I got that on there. So you'll get 2 on August 18th, and you'll probably get the... I talked to Anthony today, we'll have our collared shirts. When do y'all have pictures made? Is it
7. September 7th.
I was tomorrow.
Okay, we will have it. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll have those shirts probably next week. If anybody has pictures, that next week I give to you. If not, then you take the picture as you are. Alright? Hey, I'm over time. I love you, and we'll get to the handbook highlights if we can. I think now we're going to... Oh, a couple things real quick. This is our ball field area. So this will be football, this will be practice field, softball, baseball, warehouse. Talk to them about selling that property. Still in some small conversations, not major, because there's other plans here too. But they're looking, they're anxious about selling. They just don't know if that's where God's going to have us go. I've spoken with them as well. That's fire department land we trade off. But anyway, I've spoken with them as well. I spoke with this lady about, she's got 10 acres right here. Again, just looking for the future. Not sure that's in our just to let you know, kind of our master plan. I thought was before that, but you need to see this. And Rick sent this out. I asked him a couple weeks ago, hey man, send me that. I want to share that with our parents. Then you send out social media, and some of the other ones followed it up. It's great. This is the new fields that we have. So we're here. That's where we're sitting, standing, where we are. There's the offices. Here's the gym area. If you go back here, here's these new fields. That's what that looks like. Well, we had a guy draw this out in a 10-year plan. Here's what we're looking at. The 4 courts won't work, we need 6. But, again, here's a couple pieces of property we need to purchase up, another piece of property we need to purchase up. That's our next big goal. We really want to look at a track around the field. And I'd love to think that we might be able to move our home field there. That's not the first thing on the agenda, but we do want to put a track. We got, a bunch of kids to run. We want to provide a place. There's a lot there. And then there's a practice field. So there's room. There's a vision. And there's a focus right here. Just need money. Anybody want to write a check for $500,000? I'll take it tonight, and we'll get started. But I want to say something. $500,000 ain't nothing to God. I know that. And I know, too, that I can't say anything, articulate, motivate people to give. That's not my job. You look at the Bible, when God laid it on the hearts of people, what they do? They gave. We just got to share. Here's what we want to do. Because you think about it, that solves all of our parking problems. And we would probably put a little pipe here, maybe make a few parking spaces here. We talk about making parking here as well off this road. I would love to think that can happen soon. How soon? I don't know. Soon. Soon. I'd like to think that we could get her on course. Man, Jenny Trust come in great and handle it. But I'd like to think that we could put her on there. How soon? I don't know. God's time's not my time. But I know this. Well, that's something we can pray about. God, help us to be good stewards. And as we do, Lord bless us. And we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it. So without further ado, is that you? Is that me? That's me. Hey, one thing we're going to do about being intentional, September 14th, it should be on your calendar, is we're going to have practice with the Warriors. What does that look like? Well, I'll tell you here's what it looked like. It will look like kids that want to help, want to be part of the tennis program, we're going to take a bus, and we're going to take it over to Carolina Courts on that day. And they're going to, and Paige Summey's girls are going to get to invest in the lives of those young people. Kids that want to play football are going to get on the bus, and they're going to hang out with Coach Langley and the varsity coaches and crew. Kids that want to do soccer, they're going to hang out. We're just going to do like a 2-hour camp with those kids. That was so cool last spring. One of the best things I heard about it. You heard a lot of feedback, Mr. Cal. I know, Matt, you were out there, you saw it. We heard a lot of good feedback last year. And so that's a day we will definitely be intentional. Without further ado, I'm sorry I'm over. Mr. Cole, thank God. Yes, ma'am.
Alright, how's everybody doing? Mine is not as exciting. There's my contact info if you guys want it. Head coaches, you have a folder from me that has just a little bit of info. Once you have your rosters together, I'll put in more emergency contact info and that kind of stuff. So anybody who hasn't met me yet, I've been here like middle of March. I came on board. So I'm the athletic trainer through Novant Health, and so I'm here usually about midday through all practices and games. I'll travel with varsity football, and then I'll be here for all events for all the other sports. Since today was the first day, we all know that physicals needed to be on file for participation. So one of the new things was, though, that this year, instead of it just being one whole year, you get an extra 30 days. So I think the reason is just because with insurance it just gives you a little bit of leeway. And then just guide people to the website. The end of your folder you have the incident reports. So any kind of incidents, they will go to Denise Morris. And then just let me know about any kind of significant injuries, contact me about them. With any kind of medical visits, just make sure the same kind of thing that they get a doctor's note. So if they go, they need a clearance note, and then we need to stick to that doctor's note. So always make sure they come to me first for injuries, because otherwise, if they go to the doctor, they'll have to stick to that plan. so it helps with return to learn, which is like educational stuff in the classroom, so academic. If they need any academic recommendations or accommodations, but the return to play is the same thing where it's a 6-stage return to play. And then, so they'll have to see the physician if they're having any kind of signs and symptoms. And then depending on what the physician says, they have to follow up, or we may just have to communicate with them. And then part of the Concussion Act, as you guys have in your packet, is the emergency action plan. I gave you the venue-specific one for your sport. Tennis, I didn't put your one reports on there yet, but I'll have that for you. Okay. So it's venue-specific, posted at every venue. Are you guys familiar where your closest AED is? So either in the gym, where is it at? On the way. Okay. Out at the fields, where is it at? Okay. And then if I'm out there, I have it on tape.
Where was it at?
Inside the storage area. It's on the bottom shelf with all the other medical equipment.
Don't you normally, if you're there, don't you normally keep
Yeah.
that your?
If I'm there, I keep it with me. And then we have another one that is in Aaron Parker's office. So,
And probably what we'll do is we'll check that out in teams, and we're going to do our best to connect with teams. So, for example, if our cross-country team is going somewhere that doesn't have one or doesn't keep one, if they're Cal, we might just send it with you. If we're going somewhere to a game and they don't have this remote area, we're going to send it with them.
yeah, so we'll go over it as the events come up so that we can check it out and then we know where it is. But we do have an extra one that can travel. And so anyone who hasn't gotten CPR certified, I'm going to do another date after the parent-athlete night on August 18th. You guys, anyone who wants to or needs to, just let me know.
Good time for that?
Afterwards, so probably from 8 to 9. You'll just have to do the online module and then bring your certificate. Awesome. Just see me afterwards if you're interested. Alright, with the heat and humidity, you guys already do a good job with taking water breaks, which is the main thing. But I use the wet bulb glow thermometer, which is the thing with the black bulb on the end of it, or you can use the heat index. And so you can see just from the chart, it just gives you guidelines of what parameters you need to stay within, whether how often you need to take a water break, or whether you need to take hazard equipment off towards the bottom of the chart, or suspending practice, which rarely we're going to get to that level. But like today, during JV practice, we were in that second to last, or in the third in the middle. So just make sure they're getting water breaks. You guys already know that. And then the cold immersion tub is right outside the concession stand, that black tub. So if it is one of the hotter days with the high humidity, that'll be set up in case we need to submerge somebody. I put a little bit of nutrition on here. I know the coaches have been putting a good plug in about that. Just making sure that there's the balanced intake, and then as far as timing, making sure, before activity as opposed to after activity. And I had sat through a presentation, and they were just also talking about that vitamin D, B12, and ferritin were low in athletes and students. So just giving multivitamins. And of course, proper hydration. So mostly focusing on water. Sometimes Gatorade is fine, but that post hydration is important. So the most accurate thing would be weighing. So for every pound loss, would be to do 20 to 24 ounces of water afterwards. And even just that 1 to 2% of body weight loss, there is decreases in performance. And then with sleep, I know Coach Langley even talked about it today. So more likely to get injured, minimize muscle recovery. And then another thing is even just looking at your phone, because I know I do it too, that just staring at your phone and looking at that screen at nighttime, it decreases your melatonin, which is what your body naturally produces to help you sleep. So that gets messed up by looking at your phone and tablets at night laying in bed. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Nicole, would you just shoot those slides, those tuition slides to our coaches? Because
Yeah, I have a good the presentation it came from.
Okay.
I can
Just shoot
send
that.
that.
Awesome.
Because I know even laying in bed, I turn my screen down, but even, it's still gonna.
And since we sent, can we also get a copy of this? Just so we have it on our books.
Yeah. All that information.
In the front parts.
You'll just hand those to Aaron when we're done.
All right, Coaches, I have a lot of the details, a lot of the meat, the presentation in terms of important things that you need to know and things that I want to go over. I hope you guys appreciate just the emphasis and focus that Mr. Fathers put into that intentional stuff in the last year. A lot of coaches gave a lot of positive feedback. That was an area they struggled in. That should be a focus in what you do in this year to get contribute to that as well. And the whole vision thing that he showed, that doesn't happen without somebody that comes with you. You got to make sure that you say thank you to him for allowing us to be a part of this, because we all get to do what we love to do. First thing in the package should be a coaching checklist. There's a lot of important things on here, things that you might not think about, things regarding your schedule, equipment, there's preseason and in-season and the postseason. I'm not going to go over all of those, but those are good things just for you as a coach, maybe something you forgot about, didn't think about. Go through those things, kind of check them off as you go. I know all of our brains function differently, so I try to accommodate everybody. I have a schedule that just has a list. I have a schedule that has all the details in terms of your dismissal times, your buses. If you're a head coach, if you're an assistant coach, sorry, you just got a list. And if you're a head coach, you also got a calendar that has color on it. So I try to take care of you. If you want to make copies of those for your assistants, please feel free to do that. You can bring them by the office and I'll make more copies for you. But we got your schedule in there. I'm going to talk a little bit more about your schedule in a minute. The first thing I want to discuss is your rosters. I know several of us are just in the midst of beginning our tryouts. However, football, cheerleading, those kind of things have already ended. If you haven't already, please send us your rosters so we can get those into our different databases. BrenWeb, which will help you with communication, or us with communication, and our scheduling system as well. Another big part of what I do is the schedule and transportation. Head coaches, you have your dismissal times in there. Please take a look over those. One, so that we can communicate with your teams, but also if you think, hey, we need 10, 15 more minutes, please let me know. I try to do my best to value class time, but also make sure that you have plenty of time to get there to warm up and be ready to go for your event. Please keep your kids honest. If you get out at 2:15, your bus should be moving by 2:30. Okay? My soccer players, when I coach soccer, I say, put your shorts on, put your shirt on. You can put your shin guards and shoes on while the bus and the wheels are moving. There's things that these kids can do. They don't need 20, 25 minutes to get out of class. 15 minutes is more than enough for them to grab their stuff, get their bag, and get on the bus. So please hold them to those times so that we don't have teachers saying all these kids are getting out early, walking around. Hold them to the time that we set there. Or like I said, if you need a couple more minutes, we'll look at some of those dates and see what we can do. The next thing you see on there is facilities. We have tremendous facilities, from our complex to the FLC, to all those kind of things, to the equipment that we have. Let's take care of those. Let's make sure that post-game, we're making sure everything's picked up properly. After football games, after volleyball games, soccer games, whatever it might be, equipment is counted and collected. When I started volleyball practice, I put 20 balls in each cart. So if I have 2 carts, I should have 40 balls at the end of practice. Okay, those little things that you guys can do, or have your assistant coaches say, make sure we got 12 balls in that bag, whatever it might be. Make sure that we're taking care of our stuff. We use other people's facilities. In the fall, we use Carolina courts. We want to make sure that we're taking care of those facilities as well. Another thing that you want to maybe jot down or highlight, circle here, are grades and eligibility. Your first quarter progress reports are issued on September 22nd, so that's almost 3.5 weeks or so after we get into school. That shouldn't, that early into the school year, impact anybody's playing time, but it might. And then you see the quarter ends October 21st, and that's an important date for some of these fall sports because that's right around state tournament time. So you want to make sure that your athletes maybe jot those down or set a reminder a couple weeks before, making sure we don't have missing assignments, that they're up to date, turned in all their assignments and those kind of things. I know football, that's kind of different, but that's kind of mid-season for you guys as well. Each athlete who makes your team will be charged $150 unless it's football. We charge $300 to their accounts just to make their parents aware of their meeting so that they are aware of that. And I think cheerleading is already being charged or will be charged through their cheerleading fee. Many of you have had players turn into some eligibility forms already. Those can be done online this year under our forms and resource page, and they can email them directly to me. If you don't want any paper, let your parents know that. Make sure that they're filling them out in Adobe Acrobat so that they can actually fill in the PDF and email it back to me. But if someone brings you a big stack of paper, please don't use that. Okay, bring it to my office right then. Drop it off in my office if I'm not there, but make sure that I get that information so we can check them off because all athletes must complete those in order to be eligible to participate. And those need to be in by August 12th. There's no reason why mom and dad can't sign some things, read over the player pledge, the student pledge, the concussion information. That doesn't take a lot of effort. It just takes about 10 minutes of their time, and they need to do it together. I had a parent email me today while I was looking at her students at tryouts, and she emailed me an eligibility document with his initials and student signature there. Okay, so please reiterate to these people that your athletes that they need to read over that because it's, if you're feeling concussion symptoms, you're supposed to report that to your coach. Those kind of things. If I'm talking to the student right now and I get an email from mom and dad, that doesn't seem like you actually read over those kind of things. So please help me reinforce that hey, this is important information. It's not fun, but they just need to initial on it, sign off, make sure that we get that stuff down. The emergency contact folders, the blue folders, head coaches, those need to be with you at all times. In your bag, whenever you go away, whenever you're home, it's got information, it's got their physical, or will have their physical once you have your rosters turned in, and that's information that you would need should someone need to go to the emergency room. I think Ms. Parker's going to talk about pictures, so I'll skip that part for right now. Talk about this right now, directions and just transportation, those kind of things. In my office, this is hanging on the board. All of your teams will be there. I coach in the fall as well, so there's times where I leave early for a middle school game. Your keys for your bus that day will be hanging there. Please make sure you turn these in a timely manner. There's some days that volleyball is taking the small bus, the next day they're riding on a big bus. It just varies on that day or what the church is using, how many events we have. So make sure that you turn those keys back in. You can bring them by my office. There's a little black box. If you get back late at night, you can drop them right in front of the office in that black box that says key box, and make sure that I get them the next morning and I'll distribute keys wherever they need to go. Directions to the fall games, it never hurts to have another set of eyes. Make sure you double check. If you know that we've always played at this park, email me. Hey, I thought we always played football here. Like this year, first and seventh is going back to left field. Just those little kind of details. We don't want people going to the wrong location. Just want to make sure that we got all that information correct. See if I've got everything here. In your packets, one more thing I want to touch on. Two more things. There is a driver responsibility. Recently, the way we've handled our buses has gotten a little slack. As coaches, whether that's not following through and making sure that they're brought back clean so that the next group uses them has a bus that's clean, ready to go. Or maybe that's just the wear and tear that we put on them and being good stewards the way we drive or the way we, in terms of us as a driver, are we taking care of you. So please read over this information here. Number 7, do not use your cell phone at any time while driving. That includes a big bus or a shuttle bus. Very important. The amount of accidents you see that revolve around a cell phone. It tells you what to do if an accident does occur. There's some other information. You have my number. If something ever does occur with the bus while you're out, I'm not going to know. I'm not a mechanic. I want to fix, but at least that way I'm made aware and I can contact other people as well. So please make sure you jot it down on my cell phone. It's on the bottom of the sheet that has all the details and the other information there. Please make sure you store that in your phone so that if something does ever happen, you have a means of contacting me. But we will need this before you go. So I know Nicole had a sheet, and then I have a sheet that you need to sign, so please make sure you read that. Last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm done. In the spring, we utilized an app called First Touch. If you're a head coach, you got an email from me the other day about going ahead and setting up your account. Many of us had an account. We used it in the spring. We found it very effective in terms of sending push notifications, some kind of quick update. Parents didn't always check their email, or we had group text messages that blew up people's phones and all this kind of stuff. The First Touch app is a way to communicate with family, for you to send out a quick alert, but it also is a way for a parent to have a schedule on their phone at all times. And anytime you make some sort of adjustment to, anytime you make any kind of adjustment to the schedule on your phone, so head coaches, if I change practice from 4 to 6 to 4:30 to 6, immediately they can see it on their phone. You can send that notification. Hey parents, practice is going to be done at 5:30 tomorrow due to whatever. And you can send out that quick notification. Or like we saw today with cross country, we had some weather issues which can happen with some of these outdoor sports. Real quick, it starts to rain at 3 o'clock. Okay, parents, we've had to cancel practice today. It's just a way to update them very quickly. Coaches, you should have received your schedules, and all you have to do is put that file in your schedule, and then once you give me your roster, I will send you all the parent emails and student emails for your roster, and you can automatically upload them, and it'll give them a step-by-step instruction of how to download the app and create their account, and then they will have access to whatever you want. I was explaining there's also a way for you to check attendance for the students, see who's going to be there. Too many times, especially with middle school kids, either they don't have phones or didn't tell me that they had an orthodontist appointment or something like that. They can let you know through the app that they're going to be there or not going to be there, and all those kind of things. So it's a very useful tool for us as athletic department to communicate with our families. Now, this is not your weekly emails like Mr. Pyle was talking about with a devotion or a schedule. The schedule is in there, yes, but this is for those push short notifications of something that's going to change to the schedule that we presented. And that's how we want to use it. We don't want to use it as a big group text that blows up everybody's phone, because if you have 50 players on your team like a football, and then 100 parents, 150 people will get a text message if some kid starts a group message on this. So again, we want to utilize it from the coach's standpoint of pushing information out to the parents in emergency situations or for updates. Any questions on that? So here's what I want you to do. I created and sent you that ICS file that you need for your calendar. Cheerleading coaches, I'm letting you know this. You guys don't play in the football games, so it wouldn't let me add a football game to a cheerleading schedule. So all of your practices are in this app. With the file that I sent you, all you gotta do is put it in, and practices are there. Now, the 5 home varsity football games or whatever games you're going to go to, you can add in the dates and the location and all that kind of stuff. So JV middle school games, the home games, if you just want to put those in, since those are probably the ones you cheer at, or maybe I think you added like the Hickory Grove one and Union Academy, you you put those on there and the other ones, leave them off, and then that way there's no confusion. Hey, are we going to this game or are we not? And you can make sure that that's on your schedule. But obviously, our cheerleading team is not going to play First Assembly football team or whatever, so I couldn't add those to the schedule. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this one that has practice and games, and once you get that schedule uploaded into the app, I want you to double check it, just make sure. Or if you say, hey, wait a minute, we got a tough week that week, maybe I'll get Friday off, or maybe I'll do whatever. If you change it in the app, it shows up for the parents right away. Okay? And again, email me, call me if you have questions on this. I used it for a season, very useful, so not an expert, but I've at least gone through it, and maybe some questions you might be having, I can help you. All right? I think next up we have Matt Hutchinson.
Woo! Yeah, Matt. I'm so glad that came up. I'm going to be really short, which is also probably you're excited about that. A couple things. Really, the main thing is the second point. After the games, please clean up. Please clean everything up that you have, trash, equipment. That's the biggest problem I run into out of the facility, out of the complex, is there's just the equipment that's left. Some kid forgot. There's Friday night games, especially, like some kid is ready to go home, ready to go out, hang out with his friends after the game, whatever. We see it a lot, especially in those nighttime games where kids are just want to leave. So that's the biggest thing, is just take care of that. Make sure that everything gets cleaned up, everything gets put away, because we are doing those things to take care of as best we can. Again, as Andrew mentioned earlier, our complex and everything that we have is a gift from God to us. Obviously, we all know that, but we want to take care of that as best we can to honor Him and to effectively use those things for the kids, the students, and to keep those as well maintained as we possibly can. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm available to help as much as I can. Thanks.
I'll make mine as short as that. Pictures, I know JV has pictures tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock. Varsity football has theirs Wednesday morning. Other than that, everybody else is September the 7th. Your schedule is on the back of your fall coaches meeting agenda. If you practice here on campus, your pictures will be made on campus. Your pictures, tennis will be made on campus. Volleyball will be in the gym. Cheerleading will be at the complex. So if you practice, cheerleading may be the only ones that, and soccer will be at the complex that day. Have your players ready so they can get to moving, because cross country is a big team. They like to stay on time. I will send out all communication for pictures. When they are ready to order, I will do all of that. You don't have to worry about that unless you just follow up. But I will send out all communication with that. The only other thing is boosters. Just to plug boosters just for a minute, when you have your parent meetings, if you haven't already had your parent meetings, encourage the parents to get involved in boosters with us. Volunteer-wise, working in concessions, and just the support. We have a couple different levels where they do get the family pass for boosters. With that family pass, they get into all home athletic games for the entire family. So it kind of benefits us and the family if you could just plug that. If you have any questions, they can call me. That's it, unless I need to touch on something else.
Smith? Let me go backwards to people. Erin Parker has done a phenomenal job coming on board this year. If you don't know her, you should get to know her because she's sweet and she'll work hard for you. I would ask that you just kind of protect her because you could tell her, hey, Ms. Parker, you do this for me, and she's going to do it. But I would ask if you could do it, you take care of her. She is a helper. I'm telling you, she's good. And this is a big part. Let me tell you something. Our boosters, listen to this. Our boosters has nearly 30 corporate sponsors for this year. That don't happen without some good people leading that, like Aaron. It doesn't happen without Todd. It doesn't happen without Dave. It doesn't happen without this person. And I'm going to tell you, I think it could be even more. I think it's a matter of us just pushing that a little bit in our parent meetings. When you have your parent meeting, let them know, hey, you know how churches work. 5% of people make the church go. You know that. You know what parents you can count on. Encourage your parents. Tell them be intentional to do something. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be intentional. Get out there and do something. So I want to thank Aaron Farmer for tremendous help. Andrew Kell, coming on last year, just really has allowed us to do better, bigger, stronger things. I mean, it's been a phenomenal help to me with a lot of the details. He does a great job keeping up with those. If you have a schedule thing, Mr. Kell has got it. Matt Cuthbertson, our fields look good. Not because, boy, God is growing that grass. No, Matt is taking care of that place. And we're looking to buy a giant mower, and we're going to probably do both of our fields. We're going to start doing all of our 4 out there. So I just feel like we're just taking, and we're doing little things. We planted some nice flowers up front, and and those things y'all don't look at. I mean, that's okay, but he's done a lot of things out there, little detail things that make it look good. So let's keep looking. And Nicole coming on last year in the spring, Nicole McCarthy, just a great asset with Metro Christian Academy. And I'm going to tell you this, hey, us 5, the 5 of us meet every Friday at 1 o'clock, unless I change the time because of some other crazy reason. But we sit there and we pray for God. And we should, but we do. I want you to know that. We do. And if you got something, and I don't Facebook tweet on purpose, I don't do anything like that, social media. If you got something you can pray for, let me know. It was really cool when I sent out last year, tell me your strengths and your weaknesses. Do y'all remember that as coaches? Man, it's great because it's like, you can be that vulnerable to share something, and I don't share that with anybody, but my computer is right there. And I still have pulled that up. I pulled that up over the summer one time, and I looked at it, I'm like, God, I pray, encourage this person here. I really do. So if you got something, I love to pray. I don't take as much time as I should. You probably look at me and say the same thing about yourself. But I do love to pray. Give me a reason to pray. Hey, a couple more things. There should be one sheet in your, at the very end says, 1560 Sports Law Year Review. Check this out. This was an hour-long program I watched. I didn't have you watch it because I wanted to summarize it. Not in every court case, but I just thought some things were a bit funny, and some of them were a bit serious. Let's look down about number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet. Boy sued due to concussion, saying coach did not properly follow concussion protocol. The school had documentation to prove they did and do. Illinois State Association won because they did what? Showed documentation. Standards of practice should be followed. Whatever your state association, there should be protocols followed. We have those. Nicole's given immediate removal of the game, no return to play, return to action, declared by licensed physician. Click the next one. Teenage boy had a concussion in Iowa. Coach said, drive yourself home. $2 million was awarded to the young man who was told to do this. And punitive damages. That's not frivolous. That's for real. Because there's some frivolous ones on here. Turn over on the back. I thought you'd find this funny. Look at I think the 4th one from the bottom. Hector versus Jordan and Nike. This is one of those frivolous ones you can laugh at. Hector believes Jordan took too much money. He looks too much like him to get any endorsements. This guy thinks he looks like Michael Jordan. He can't get endorsements because Michael gets them all. He asked Michael Jordan $460 million for Jordan, $460 to Nike. The court dismissed it. Yeah, that's stupid. Okay, so, but I'm going to tell you, those are 4 or 5 funny, frivolous ones. But those front ones, it's real. And it doesn't take anything for somebody to sue you. I know that. Hey, I mean, anybody can sue anybody nowadays, and we do that. Hey, check this out. Turn back on the front. I'll be quick on this one. Freedom of religion, 3rd one from the bottom. Texas cheerleaders make signs having football team run through Bible verses. Cheerleaders have won this far. However, Texas Supreme Court may hear this by the end of the year. Again, something for you to look at, something you should be aware of. I'm not asking you to be a lawyer or a crazy person at school, but you should be aware of this. Hey, I tell you what, I love this job. Because, you know what, I'm going to tell you, my son's gone for 10 weeks. I get to talk to him on the weekend one time. Because he has to turn in his phone. He works at a Christian youth camp. They had 8-year-olds, and they graduated all the way up. Now they got 18. 10 weeks with these kids. So I talk to him once on the weekend. And it is so blessing, such a blessing to talk to him. Because I'm like, dude, Daddy's like, Dad, I almost going to sound like a blessing because I didn't want to come. And I know we had a long conversation. This will tell you the story. But every time I talk about it, I say, son, think about this. And this was the other day he called me. This was a couple days ago. And I said, son, think about this. What are you doing this summer? You are playing with kids and you're sharing the gospel. What other job in America can you have to do that and you get paid? And I stopped there and I said, you could be a coach, Brent. And I know we won't get much. I get that. But you get to do that. There are people that can't do that. And there are people that don't feel equipped to do that, to share the gospel. That's why we did those intentions. That's why, to help us get a little more. You know what? You feel awkward doing that because I've never taught Sunday school. That's okay. It's okay to be awkward. It's okay. Our lives as Christians are somewhat awkward. It's okay. Being real is cool. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Man, God, I heard his devotion. I'll never be that good. Shut up. Don't say that to yourself. If you compare yourself to somebody, you're either going to be low in your ego, like, oh, I'll be defeated, or I'll be conceited. Let me repeat that. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're either conceited, I'm better than that, or defeated, I'll never be that good. Don't do that. You be you. You be you. All right? Man, I love this. I love the people I work with. I love you. And I love the fact I don't have to go to jury duty tomorrow. I'm meeting with a guy tomorrow who's doing our August 18th parent meeting. I want to tell you something. How I will see all of y'all again, and we will see all of our coaches August 18th, 6 p.m. We do our family event. If you haven't RSVP, please tell Aaron Parker. But so we will eat at 6 p.m. that Thursday. At 7 p.m., all of our families are going to the First Baptist Church Worship Center. Our cheerleaders will be there to greet. Our coaches will be there to shake hands. And Mike Stricker is going to be speaking, and I'm going to share. I'm meeting with Mike again tomorrow morning to tell him exactly, Mike, you've got 40 minutes. Here's what I want you to point to parents. That's a great night for us. Because he's going to say things that you want to say, but you probably can't say because you don't want people to get mad at you. It's a good night. It's a good night for our families. It's a great night if you've never been a part of it. You have good feedback. So I'm going to pray and close this. If you've got questions, myself, Matt, Aaron, Andrew, and Nicole are here. Let's pray. God, you are good. And these, your people, have given up their time to come to celebrate who you are and also to celebrate in this role as a coach, an authority figure in the lives of these student athletes. God, I pray you would equip them with just enough to get by. Father, I pray that we would be hungry for you during our season. And God, we would be desperate for you so that we could demonstrate to our student athletes just how good of a God you are. Father, I pray you work in our lives and we can't help but speak of your glory to our teams and even to the people at the restaurant we eat and even to the people at the gas station. That God, you be your hands and feet and your voice in this world that seems dark. God, I will not accept it. God, we will choose to be lights. And Lord, it's in your name, Jesus. I pray protection on these families. I pray strength for these families. And I pray, God, that we would all be changed, renewed daily by your Spirit. For in your name, Jesus, again I pray. Amen.